Hello, hello, and welcome back to the Happy Farm Life podcast. Today is going to be maybe not the sexiest episode title ever because we are talking about organizing your email list. But let me tell you, you will feel so much better at the end of this episode if you follow these steps. This is how I organize my inbox and handle the chaos that is my email. So before I dive in, I want to explain what kind of chaos comes through my inbox. So not too long ago, I was having some issues with my email and IT was doing some checks, and our parking service is for the entire university that I work for. And I got more emails than them. I was getting 15,000 emails every month. And some of you are like, that's nothing. But a lot of you are probably like, holy cow, that's a lot of emails. I didn't realize Pharmacist had so many email communications. And that's because I work in investigational drug service. I have a lot of calendar appointments that come in for patient visits and other things, but I still have to manage all of that. So I recently went on vacation, and while I was gone, I had 466 emails when I returned to my inbox. And today was the day I came back, and I am down to 22. Huge difference. And so I was talking to my coworker, and she's like, wow, I never am able to do that when I get back. You're really efficient. I just have trouble getting through my inbox, which is why I'm recording this, because I realized that if she's having trouble with this, other people probably are as well. So before I dive into my strategy, I want to explain what my principles and thoughts are when it comes to my inbox. I am a huge believer of inbox zero. If you are not familiar what inbox zero is, that basically means you clear out everything from your inbox and you do not use your inbox as storage. Instead, you organize your folders in your email in order to keep everything organized so it doesn't sit in your inbox. Anything in your inbox means you haven't read it, added it to your to-do list, or it hasn't received any attention from you whatsoever. So those 466 emails that were in my inbox had not received my attention. And so most of the day, what I did today was I started going through them. I started at the beginning, which can be controversial on which order to go in. Here's my thinking. The stuff that's coming in the morning or that day of is probably for patients that are coming in that day, and I still had to take care of patients and do dispensations, so those are my top priority. And the things that were happening last week, they're probably not urgent, and if there was an urgent issue, it was taken care of by somebody else because I was gone. So I just start going through them. Anything that I don't need, I start deleting. Just get it out of my inbox. We get a lot of newsletters. I delete those. If it's an organizational email, I see if there's a link that I want. And if there is, I will copy that link, put it in my OneNote, which is my to-do list, and then delete it or file it away depending on where I want it to go. As I'm going through, if I find an email that I don't need to reply to, but I want to keep the conversation, I file it in one of my folders. For me, working in investigational drug service, I have a folder for every single study that I'm doing. If you're running or hissing, my cats are fighting. I apologize. But if it is one of those things that I'm going to need to reply to, I just flag it and move on and continue down the list. Of course, if I hit anything that I think needs to be replied to immediately or is going to take me just a couple seconds to reply to, I will go ahead and reply to it, but then I'll keep moving through the list. So once I was done going through all the emails, I'm not going to lie, it did take me a couple of hours to do that. I ended up flagging 48 out of that 466 emails. So out of all of those emails, these are the ones that required my attention. I had a ton of calendar invites, so that was part of what got rid of, some of the things that I had in there. Also, I had a lot of things from dispensations that happened the week prior. I didn't need those, so those just got filed away. But that left me with 48 emails that needed my attention. And like I said, I got down to 22, so I got through the majority of them. And how I did that is then I go from, if there was ones that I saw in there that needed my attention sooner rather than later, those got attention first. And then I just started at the oldest request to the newest. Whenever I put anything in my OneNote, which is where I put all of my to-do list, I also will include the date that I received that request so I can make sure I'm handling things in a timely manner. If I see something that's been studied for a while, even though it wasn't a super priority, I'm going to circle back to it to make sure I'm not leaving anybody waiting for a response for too long of a period of time. And as I answer emails, there are a couple different things that I'm looking for. So if there are any files that need to be sorted into their folder, and we have like what we call departmental data, so it's our departments folders. So if there's anything that needs to go in there, I will put it in there at that time. Anything that needs a reply that was going to take more than a couple minutes, required me to attach a document, or go back and review the study that they were talking about. I was waiting for that moment, so I started replying to those. And then some of them were just requests for me to do something. And so I didn't want to reply and be like, yeah, I'll do that, and then file it away. At this point, that's also when I add it to my to-do list. And so when I'm doing my to-do list, I have everything organized by what type of request it is. So in investigational drug service, I have one that's just general requests, things that are process improvements, research for departmental things that we want to improve in the future, process changes that we need to make. All of those go in one section. Then I have another section for reviews that I need to do of new studies. I have a section for reviews I need to do for currently open studies. Those are a little bit more pressing because they are open. And so we have patients coming in, or subjects in this case, coming into those studies. So I want to make sure everything is up to date. So I will need to review those sooner. I have some committee work that I do as well. So that committee has its own folder. I help with our residency program, social media. That has its own folder. I'm doing a few projects right now, some publications, some exciting things if it gets pushed through. Those have their own folder. I have a folder for residency and student requirements. So as a pharmacy preceptor, there are things I need to do to maintain my competency, as well as documentation I have to do when I have a student, or if I'm going to work with a resident or help with a project or attend a meeting, whatever it is. All of that goes in a section as well. And then I also have a section for training. Now, this might not be necessary if you are a staff pharmacist, but as an investigational drug service pharmacist, I have all of your regular competencies, like our annual competencies, the trainings I need to do for like BLS, trainings that I need to do to keep up my BCPPS certification, but then pretty much all of the clinical trials that we are a part of that are industry sponsored, those also have additional trainings online that we need to take for their online systems, as well as just the study as a whole. So I keep a list of all of those trainings when the due date is, so I can go through each week and look at my list and see what I need to do. So that's how I got down to 22 emails. There were several of them that required some back and forth, or I needed to give other attention to dispensations that were happening, or emails that were coming in that were more urgent for today. That's the main gist of it. I don't keep stuff in my inbox for very long. Normally on a regular day, I don't get in my inbox and do this sort of clean out the entire day. I'm not going in and out of it all of the time unless I know that I'm going in there because we have a patient that's going to have medications dispensed. But what I'm doing instead is when I come in the morning, I check my calendar, update my calendar to-do list on my OneNote, which is where I keep my checklist for the day. And so if there's any dispensations that I'm going to have to take care of or check, those go on my to-do list. And then I also see if there's anything upcoming in my week, anything that's changed. I will tell you with research, sometimes I come in and what was planned for the next morning is no longer happening that day. And so I will update my to-do list based on any calendar changes that I did have, and just try to organize as much as possible throughout my day so I know what's the most urgent priority for me. So I mentioned all of those smaller to-do lists that I have that are based on categories. So at the beginning of each week, I actually look at my calendar, add those dispensation to-do list items, and then I go through all of those lists in order of priority, which one's the most urgent that's going to require my attention first. And I start adding stuff to the list that I think needs to get done. Absolutely needs to. If I get to the end of the week and I have spare time and have finished everything on my must list, that's great. I will start pulling stuff that's next on that list. But one of the mistakes I made early on was like, oh, everything I want to get done, I put on there. Realistically, there is always going to be something that pops up during the week that is going to pull your attention away, that becomes more urgent or more important. And so I've just decided that I'm going to do the things that are absolute must. And then I will add things on that are less important or less of a urgent need later on. So whatever shows up on my list on Monday morning, from my Monday through Friday, I try to sort it out based on order of priority when it needs to be done. So the least important things will be pushed to my Friday date because there may be a research study that just takes all of my attention for an entire day. That can happen. If it's very important, it's going to happen on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. If it's less important, it can go to my Thursday, Friday days. So if it does end up getting pushed to the next week, it's not as big of a deal. So I personally use OneNote at work simply because that's the program that my organization allows me to use. I prefer project management tools like Trello and Asana. I use Asana for my social media organization and everything for my business. So if you get an email from me, if you see a post by me, it is all put in Asana with a checklist, step by step, of everything I need to do to publish a podcast episode, publish a YouTube video, publish a reel on Instagram. So that's how I stay organized there. I treat my emails a little bit differently at home than I do at work. So I still have folders for everything. I am still a huge fan of Inbox Zero, but I have a couple different folders that I set up for things that need action. So I have a folder for pending orders. So if I ordered something that's going to be shipped, I do a lot of like automated shipments. And so I get the tracking number. I want to keep that just in case something happens to it. So that is in a pending orders folder. I also have a folder for eventually, which are things that I need to get done or it's going to pop up or I just want to keep the link there. Then I have a this month folder. So these are the things that are going to come up in the next several weeks. And then I have a this week's folder. And those are things that all need my attention this week. I have specific times in my calendar throughout the week that I reply to emails for my business. And so whenever I am going through those time periods, I will go into the this week's folder and answer anything that's in there or sort anything that's in there and move it to the appropriate files and folders, similarly to what I was telling you that I do at work. As an investigational drug service pharmacist, I think that organization is incredibly important, and that is going to help me be more successful in a role like this because there is a lot of documentation that we have to do. There's tons of files that are involved. We have to document all of our training. We like to joke that if you breathe in the IDS pharmacy, you probably need to document it because that's how much documentation that we do. And so having specific folders for each study, so I can go back and be like, okay, I know I emailed the study monitor about this. Like, let me go back to that specific folder and I should be able to find the email. Ultimately, if you're currently struggling with email inbox overwhelm, the best place to start is to get just a couple of different folders started in your email and getting them out of your inbox so you are not battling that inbox fatigue. And just delete the stuff that you don't need. If you see it and you know that it's an advertisement for 2 months ago for a sale that you are not going to need to do because it's been months, just delete it, get rid of it, get out of your inbox, out of your sight, out of your mind, and then it's no longer going to be a burden to you. Hopefully this was helpful to you, whether you want to implement the entire strategy that I just shared, or if you want to take bits and pieces of it. So maybe you like how I reviewed emails, but maybe you want to sort them a little bit differently. Totally okay. That's up to you. This episode was designed to try to help you clear out that clutter in your inbox so you can clear up the mental space that you need to do your very important work. If you liked this episode and you want more in-depth deep dives like this, then New Pharmacist Society is where you should be. It is my membership group. It is the cost of a latte a month, and you get access to in-depth training, more like this one, except they come with PowerPoints and a workbook and extra tools. This month's masterclass actually comes with a spreadsheet to help you work through the entire masterclass. So if you're really wanting to build your personal and professional skills within pharmacy, I highly recommend that you check it out. You can go to newpharmacistsociety.com and see what is available there. With that, thank you for watching or listening. And until next time, keep on living your happy pharm life. Bye.